equation involves when we have a variable that we need to find out its numerical value. For example, for this question, we know that something plus 3 equals 5. Well, that something is clearly going to be 2, but this is an easy question. So the way you would do this is you would eliminate the 3 from both sides of the equation as follows. We're going to take away 3 from both sides because we want to make sure that x is on its own. And at the moment we have got x plus 3. So to get x isolated on its own, we need to do minus 3 from this side. And because it's a balancing scale, we also need to do minus 3 from the right hand side. Therefore, our answer is x is equal to 2. Pause the video and have a think what we need to minus this time. Excellent. Hopefully you realise we need to minus 2 because in this picture we have x with an additional 2 number ones. So if we minus 2 from both sides, we are left with x is equal to 2 because when we minus 2, we are left with x on the left hand side and 4 minus 2 gives us quite nicely 2. Similarly, this is 2 as well. So you can see that all of these questions, despite looking different, they all end in the same answer, which is really quite exciting. What I'd like you to have a go at is these questions on your screen now. These might be really easy for you, but I'd like you to spend some time doing this. I'd like to make sure you're laying out your workings out as in the yellow box. This is really important for future questions. Off you go. Welcome back. Hopefully you got the following answers. Now, let's have a look at this question. If you're happy with this question, you can have a go at these two questions and pause the video. So 2x plus 1 equals 3. Have a think about why this question is different. Well done. Hopefully you realise that we've got 2 lots of x. So we're going to do the same as before. The first step is to make sure x is on its own. So we are going to eliminate the 1 from both sides. And the reason why we do this is because originally we had x's and numbers, but we just want x's on their own. So to eliminate this 1, we have to minus 1, and because we do it to the left, it must be done to the right. We are left with 2x is equal to 2. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now to find the value of 1x, all we need to do is study both the x's and both the 1's, and we need to find just 1x. So instead of minusing or adding, this time we're going to divide. So dividing both sides by 2, remember we need to do the same to the left and to the right, we get x is equal to 1. I'd like you to pause the video and have a go at these two questions. Welcome back. Hopefully, for the first extension question, you got 2. X is equal to 2. And for the second one, you would have also got x is equal to 2. Again, very predictable answers. And this is how you would do it. First of all, you minus 2 from both sides, giving you 3x equals 6. Final step, you're going to divide by 3. X is equal to 2. Similarly with this one, we're going to minus 2 from both sides. Final step then, we're going to cut both the piles in half, giving us x is equal to 2. Remember, you need to make sure you include your workings. You can include them underneath like this. You could also put them in brackets if you prefer, if you think that looks neater, or you could just use some arrows. I'd like you to choose one of the 3 ways. So either just blank, with no brackets, with arrows, or with brackets. So here are a few questions. You can see that I've already put the answers to the first few. So what I'd like you to do is see how many you can complete between 6 to 24. If you're ready, you can have a go at questions 1 to 12 as well. Now, these ones are looking a lot more tricky. So we need to think about why these are different. So on the screen, I reckon so far you'll be able to do A, B and C really quite easily. Similarly, E, F, G and H are quite straightforward. But D is a different kettle of fish. I'm going to show you a similar example to D. Let's take M. Now, it doesn't matter if we're dealing with M, X, Y, they're all unknown variables. So let's say we put M over 15 equals 2. Now, when you are thinking about solving equations, the first thing you do is you eliminate any numbers which are attached to that variable by plussing or minusing them. Then you focus on the things which you need to get rid of in terms of timesing and dividing, and then you're going to isolate the variable on its own, so it's one lot of the variable. So I will show you what I mean by this question. So the first step we need to do is need to make sure if anything's added or subtracted to M. No, so we don't need to do this step. We're going to move on to the next step. Is M times or divided by something? Yes, it's divided by something. So if it is divided by something, we are going to get rid of what it's divided by. And we need to do the inverse. So this is 1/15 of an M. So to get M to be 1M, we need to eliminate the 15 and need to do the opposite operation. So we need to times both sides by 15. And what we're going to get is 15 divided by 15 is 1. The whole idea of doing this operation is just so we get 1M. And remember, in algebra, we don't need to write 1M. We can just write M. And then our answer becomes 30. Now, if you wanted to check whether your answer was correct, what you can do is substitute your answer back in. So wherever there's an M, we're going to replace it with 30. Let's check. 30 divided by 15 is indeed 2. Excellent. Now, I'd like you to have a go at some of these questions and let the teacher know if you're able to do the harder ones and check with your answers. Now, we've got a quick fire round. At the end of the timer, I'd like you to make sure you have found the answer, either to the top or the bottom problem. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. So clearly the first step is to minus 9 at the top one, giving x equals 3. This one, you have to do 2 steps. First of all, you have to minus 3. And then the last step, you divide by 2. You can see that both of these answers match. 30 seconds. It's already finished. So let's go over this step by step in case you didn't get the previous one. First step this time is to plus 7. Now, why do you think we plus 7? Pause the video and have a think. Great. The reason we plus 7 is because the inverse of minus 7 is plus 7. Now, for this one, to get 3p on its own, the first thing we need to do is minus 3 on both sides. The last step is to isolate p entirely on its own. So we need to get rid of the 3 in front of it. P is equal to 13. Here's some further examples. If you wanted to have a go at these, you could pause the video and have a look. Now, the last part of this lesson, what we're going to have a look at is these questions with brackets. So let's have a look at the first question. The first question we're going to do is example 1. Now, as our steps before, we said the first thing you need to do is add or subtract anything that's been added to the variable. Then we need to see if it's been divided by anything and eliminate the division symbol or the fraction. And then we need to get the one variable on its own. So it's like 1m, 1a. However, we've also got brackets involved this time. So instead of our plus minus being our first step, it absolutely can be. But the best thing you need to do is to eliminate the brackets first. And the way you solve these equations, you can think of BODMAS actually, because you're going to focus on eliminating the addition and subtraction first, then the division and multiplication, and then the other, which is indices. B is the only odd one out because B you should ideally do first or second step. So let's have a look at this question. The first thing we're going to do is expand the brackets. So we need to do an eyebrow and a smile. 6 times A is 6A, 6 times 2 is minus 12, plus 3A equals 15. Now, we can start moving the addition and subtraction straight away, but actually there's one more step we can do before this, which I need to add in here. I'm going to add it in a different colour so you remember. What do you think it is? Pause the video. Excellent. Hopefully you realised we need to simplify before we solve. And again, these steps of brackets and simplification don't need to be done straight away, but it's easier if you do them now. You might get really familiar with this topic and you might not simplify until one of the latter steps, but today I'd like you to do the brackets first, then the simplification. So we clearly want to combine the 6A and the 3A. And this is because they're both involving A's. So if we do that, we're going to get 6 plus 3, another easy question, 9A. We just copy down the minus 12 equals 15. And now it's a simple two-step equation. So we're going to add 12 to both sides and then we simply divide by 9. And remember, you need to make sure you include your workings out. So this step here was to add 12 to both sides. This step here was to divide by 9. I'd like you to pause the video and have a go at example 2 and then 3 if you're really confident. Welcome back. Let's go over example 2. We're going to go over this a little bit quicker this time. So the first thing you need to do is you need to expand the brackets like we put up here at the top of the screen. If you're happy with these questions and you can multitask, you can start with these questions at the bottom, J, K and L. So let's have a look at this. To expand the brackets, we're going to get 4 times n is 4n, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 minus 5 is going to be like that. And this time we simplified just the numbers. So the 8 minus 5 gets simplified to 3. And then to get the 4n on its own, we need to eliminate it by minusing 3 from both sides. And then finally, to get n on its own, we are going to divide by 4. Now, this answer is different. Think about why it's different. Great. Hopefully you realise this is a decimal, but this is absolutely possible with these kind of questions. Last but not least, let's go over 3. Now, there's 2 brackets. Not too scary. You just need to expand them separately. Now, this minus 2 here is a common error people make. If you're going to make a mistake in the exam, you will probably make a mistake here because minus 2 times x is minus 2x, and then people forget to do the minus 2 with the 1. So if there's a minus number, then a bracket, make sure you apply the minus to both the first and the second term. Continuing on swiftly. We're then going to simplify. 3x minus 2x is x. 6 minus 2 is 4. Now it's a one-step equation. Wow. All of that working out, x is just equal to 1. But that's pretty special, isn't it? Now, we are going to have a look at some questions. What I'd like you to focus on, apologies for the blurriness of it, are these questions here. Let's see if you can find them on another slide. There we go. I'd like you to have a go at the must, the could and the challenge. Pause the video now, and if you're finished, when you're finished, I'd like you to have a go at a code breaker. Off you go.